It is a beautiful afternoon in the cornfields of Central Illinois, and round number 2 for the MPO division of the 2023 Ledgestone Open is underway. Welcome back to Tournament Central. Brian Earhart, Nate Perkins, talking disc golf yet again. Calvin Heimberg, one of your leaders, 12 under par round at Lake Eureka, moving into Northwoods, which he called a little softer than years past at the press conference earlier this week. Nate, that's some confidence right there from the course record holder.
Yeah, definitely confidence. And, one of the hot takes, honestly, on the other side of that, we heard Simon say, give me a chainsaw and I can make, give me a chainsaw in 2 hours and I can make Northwoods Black one of the best courses on tour. Calvin said they shouldn't have taken some of the rough out because it makes it harder. Northwoods is truly one of the most challenging courses that you will ever play. I mean, you'll have some of the best players in the world go in there and 8 birdies and they shoot over par. So it's we're gonna have to wait and see if Calvin's gonna have to eat his words there.
Well, I'm excited to see him play this course again, especially with how cleared out some of the parts of the course are. Pretty much what he said is scrambling is now made harder. Obviously, if you hit the fairway, you hit the fairway, but now actually getting back to the fairway or getting back to the green is way easier on some of the holes out there where you could otherwise find a lot of danger. I was standing right behind Calvin following him last year when he shot the course record, 9 under par, and it was unbelievable what he was doing. And really, he's not doing anything spectacular. He's just taking that eagle that he's known for throwing, and he's working it on pretty much every line that you can think of. And that's the beauty of having the speed that Calvin Heimberg has, is he's able to take a neutral, stubborn fairway, work it on hyzer, flip it up a little bit, throw it flat, turn it a little bit, and he worked every single fairway with perfection and then dropped a 50-footer on the final hole to shoot that 9 under. So that works everywhere. Doesn't matter what course you're playing. If he can do that again out here and keep it simple like he has all season, it's going to be no problem. But I'm super excited to see everyone in this field play it, including Ezra Robinson, who dropped an incredible round out there at Lake Eureka. He's definitely the power player between him and Isaac. But now he has to go into the woods, which is more Isaac's bread and butter.
Yeah, and Ezra's been on the upward trend, Brian, and just look at the back 9 right there, 8 under on the back. He went 4 for 5 from circle 2. The only circle 2 putt that he missed was there on 18 for a perfect back. And Ezra has shot more 1040 rated and higher rounds this season than he has in his entire career before this year. So he's definitely found his rhythm. And one thing that I noticed about his putt is he's starting to putt a little bit more like his brother. Which one's the older brother, Brian?
Oh, you're putting me in a tough spot.
It's got to be Isaac, right? As he's the little brother.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I feel foolish, but I think you're right on that. But with that said, I mean, they're not that far apart in age.
No.
Ezra's chasing down Isaac right now. Isaac's the one with the titles, but we did talk to Ezra after his fantastic first round. Let's hear what he had to say.
We got back in the States on Monday night, so I'm trying to get over some jet lag and trying to, play the best I can out here. But yeah, I was pretty shaky off the tee. I haven't been playing super great recently in the last couple weeks. But yeah, I was able to just get the nerves under control and just slowly put together a solid round, and it kept getting better and better, and I just rolled with it.
How do you feel about Northwood Black, and what's the plan of attack over there?
Yeah, so it's a really hard course. I haven't played the best out there. I played a practice round yesterday, had 8 birdies, shot 2 down, so a lot of bogeys and doubles. So if I can get that under control, I think I should do pretty well. But yeah.
Well, he has a test at Northwood Black today, and I think if he can score well today, I think it bodes very well for Ezra going into the final 2 rounds of the tournament. But this is his big test today. With that said, another player that made it to the lead card, Chris Dickerson, with a fantastic first round. We'll talk Dickerson on the other side of this commercial break. Welcome back. Joined here now by PDGA's Hayden Henry. Hayden, it was hot this morning. The sun was beating down on everybody out there on the Sunset Hills course. What did you see from the FPO division this morning?
Yeah, I think the weather definitely had an impact, but the scores are still pretty hot for the most part. You know, we've talked about all week how this course just sets up so well for FPO. And it's so great to see scoring and the incredible drives and some incredible putting too. So about what we expected. Excited to see, round 2 out here tomorrow for that division.
Well, the MPO now moved this afternoon to what's known as probably the hardest course on tour for their division, Northwood Black. What do you expect to see out there from the whole field?
Yeah, I love this tournament because of the contrast. We're going to see, like you just said, Calvin is going to eat his words, but just incredible show yesterday at Eureka. The wind was down, and now we go to the woods. With Calvin, I saw a stat from Statmando that this is his 13th lead card out of 25 attempts this season, which is pretty mind-boggling. I would like to see James Proctor's stat, too. It's probably very similar. Just the golf that he's playing this year has been incredible. Would like to see him put that together for 4 rounds, but he has been the mix, week in and week out. And then, 16 players within 4 strokes at Northwood Black, that doesn't mean much.
It's going to be an entertaining afternoon, that's for sure. With that said, I have to ask one more question. What's going on with the PDGA right now? What do we have coming up?
Yeah, a lot going on right now, but the big thing is the rules for 2024 are open for public comment. You have until August 15th to submit any feedback. You can see all those proposed rule changes, at pdga.com. Some major, some minor. The game's evolving. The rules have to evolve as well. There's things from, all 4 players are going to have to keep score next year. That's on the docket. And, we see from C tiers all the way to the Elite Series on hole ones, like who's going to keep score. Crickets. That wasn't the case maybe when we started playing disc golf. When you're top of the card, you kept score, and then you kept it for 4 or 5 holes. You passed it to the next guy. So go check out those proposed changes. Submit any feedback the right way through the proper channels. Again, your Facebook comments are not going to get it done. There is an avenue for every PGA membership to submit their feedback on this and everything. I don't think people realize that, where you can contact the PDGA and your voice will be heard.
Well, thank you for that clarity, Hayden. I appreciate that. And you actually just spoke about James Proctor. We're going to listen to James Proctor after his round yesterday. Let's take a look.
It felt good. Things were clicking, and that's whenever you're playing fun disc golf.
Very different course, obviously, as you head over to Northwood tomorrow. What are you looking for out there?
Consistency. Consistently in the fairway, I should say, because that's what you need for woods golf. Need to keep it in the fairway.
Putting up that 11, it's the best round I've played here by far. I was more aggressive than I planned on being just because of where some of my drives landed and the fact that the wind was down. But not really any more pressure. I'm looking forward to the woods, and I think both courses are great, and I think it provides a great mix for the tournament as a whole, for sure. Definitely hit the first gap, and then kind of what happens you can't really control. You're 3 feet off the fairway there, you might be scrambling or you might be in a decent spot. So I think if I can throw decent shots, hit the first gap, and depending on where the drive lands, get aggressive or not for the second.
Well, the first thing that I have to say about James Proctor is that 11 could very easily be a 13. I mean, he bogeyed the hands-down easiest hole on the course at hole number 11. It was a 300-foot chip forehand, which is his bread and butter. So if he can continue on the pace that he's continuing on, that should be no problem final round at Eureka. But now he has to attack Northwoods. And I love that he's taking on a similar game plan to Owen Scoggins, who just says, hit the gap. That's it. That's all you need to do when you're playing the Northwoods course. Do you agree with that strategy?
Yeah, you definitely want to keep it in the fairway, and I think a lot of people have seen Proctor's power, but not everyone has seen his touch, and so I'm excited to see. I think he's going to be throwing some rocks out there, some flippier plastic, but he said the wind was down yesterday at Eureka, and he took advantage, birding the last 6 holes there. And it's not very often that the Eureka Temp course, Brian, averages under par. Usually it's a course that we see average right around even or 1 over. Yesterday it averaged 2 down. He took advantage. 11 under is his best round at the course. And another player that we have to talk to is Chris Dickerson. We haven't seen the likes of Robot Chicken engaged since all the way back in Nashville. He let that win slip through his fingers, ended up taking 3rd place. Simon took that one down from the chase card. But what did you like from Chris yesterday at Eureka?
He just played a very textbook round. I think the big highlight is getting the baseball field hole number 5. I think that's just a hole that if you get it, it feels really good going into the next stretch of the course. But he got the birdies that seem like they're gettable out there on that course. I don't think he did anything spectacular. I think, again, the 2 best birdies would be 5 and 14.
Yep.
Getting both of those feels really good, but you don't necessarily have to do anything special to shoot anything 11 or better. So I think if he just takes away the bogey on the water tower hole, which can happen, that's another solid round for Chris. So with him going into Northwoods, this is dangerous for the field. I mean, this is a 2-time major champion who's won out in the Open at USDGC and won deep in the Southeastern Woods at the Champions Cup. So this guy knows his way around a wooded property. I would say that that's actually his specialty. The courses that he prefers playing are in the woods. So I mean, he's no slouch anywhere, but I think this is going to be a course that he's dangerous at.
It's also, he's the freshest player out on the tour. If you look, he's played the least amount of events this season. This is just his 14th event this year. This is the least amount of events that we've ever seen him play. Typically, Chris was a guy who would go back to Tennessee and he would play every local B tier, every local A tier that he could. But, you know, you said it, he kind of got a good contract from Discraft. And, of course, he's sitting on those 2 titles. And I think that, you know, allows him to relax a little bit, to take time off and, you know, to work on his body and work on things outside of the disc golf course.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, yeah, he's quote-unquote taking all this time off, but he looks like he's in really good shape. He's taking very good care of himself right now. You can tell he takes his job extremely seriously, and I think the tournaments taken off are being used very productively, so to speak. So I think Chris is doing exactly what he's supposed to do. I have no doubt that he could easily be in the mix going into the final day, going back to Lake Eureka. So we'll just have to see. There's so many other players, though, that we have to talk about. We've only just finished 1 round out here.
Yep.
We're going to have to talk Simon Lizotte at some point, but we have to take a commercial break first, so we'll talk Simon on the other side.
What makes the Halal Guys so deliciously different? You might have heard of our famously long cart lines that NYC fans happily stand in. Today, with over 100 plus restaurants across the globe, we are your place to experience authentic American halal. Enjoy our delicious falafel, Euro sandwich, platters, and sides topped with our famously flavorful white and hot sauces. Order online today and taste how we make different so delicious. The Halal Guys, bringing something deliciously different to the table.
Somehow still scrambled away those pars, which was nice. Overall, I was happy with my front 9, and then I got in like defense mode, trying to like protect my round, which is such an amateur mistake, so I'm a bit disappointed by that. But happy with my finish. I got a couple good breaks, and if that keeps happening, then I'll be happy with the tournament. We have 3 rounds to go, and we're playing the hardest course on tour, and then this one last, and the weather might be crazy on the weekend too, so who knows what's going to happen. Right now, I'm just happy to have no bogeys yet. If you're mentally not ready to commit, then this don't fly how you want to. So I kind of felt that way, like through like 9, 10, 11, those holes. I was like, man, like commit to your throws. Like you're only 9 holes in. Like give it some commitment.
It's so funny to listen to a player talk like that because it shows you truly how many strokes there are out there at Lake Eureka and Northwood Black. I mean, there's so much golf to be played at these 2 courses over 4 rounds. But I think the way Simon was talking about his game was very promising. I think there's definitely adjustments to be made.
Yeah, Brian, and I actually have to eat my words a little bit. I said Chris Dickerson was the freshest player on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, but this is only Simon's 11th tournament of the year, and he's one of the few players now that is strictly flying out to his tournaments. He's going back home to his wife Natalia, his newborn son Emmett, and how do you feel like that hurts or helps his chances of continuing to win on the tour?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it depends for him on what his mindset is. I think when you're playing less events, there's less reps, but he's developed thousands of reps over the years, so you'd think that he'd be dialed in really to just a good release point. And I think for him, like he was saying, it's commitment more than anything. If you just tell yourself to commit to the shot, you pick the right disc, you trust it, I think it's no problem for him, and I think he showed that to us last year. But this year, with the new contract and playing even less than he was before, Simon just has to show up with that much confidence. I think it's just something he has to do. I don't think muscle memory developed in the field is going to help him anymore.
Yeah.
I think he just has to show up in golf and pick the most simple option to get through the course and get from point A to point B. So I think we'll just have to see with Simon, but like he said, there's so much disc golf to be played.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing him play what he says is the hardest course on the tour, and I kind of have to agree with him. And we've mentioned this a few times, but we've got one player, Calvin, who's saying they shouldn't have cut things down. Simon is saying that they should continue to cut more trees down at Northwoods, and you have to wonder, when you put that stuff out there, when he's playing it, is he thinking about those trees in the fairway that could potentially kick him off into oblivion?
I think he's got a good sense of humor, so I don't think he is.
Yeah.
I think it's actually enviable, like how he thinks about disc golf. He thinks about it so nonchalantly. It's not this romantic thing for him. It's just something that he likes to do.
Yeah.
And he's been doing it for years. He still loves the game, and now he's turned it into a full-blown career. So I think Simon's going to show up, and if it's a good day, it's a good day. If it's not a good day, it's just one of those days on the disc golf course. A player, though, that I have to talk about on the other side who is very passionate about this game and shows it is Adam Hammes, who I believe is one of the few players in the MPO division who has that X factor, that next level desire to win at all costs, and he's shown us over the years that he has that.
Yeah, and he's in a great position right now. He's just 2 strokes back of the lead, and we've seen him just go off in the woods. I still think of Adam as that Midwest player from the woods, and we're going all the way back to Norway, of course, in the Fjordlands, and this is him displaying his power hyzer forehand right there. That's 470 feet. Here's Adam knocking down a nice little jump putt there on the second, and this is to win an Elite Plus, and look at the emotion there. That tournament meant a lot to him, and I got a chance to congratulate Adam about a week after that victory over in Montana, and he said, that's the best I've ever thrown the disc, and he has struggled a bit since then. I mean, Montana, not a great performance. He flew to Europe. He got himself on a feature card, but didn't perform when the pressure was on. And yeah, what do you make of that? Or can you even make anything of that?
Adam's an amazing player. He reminds me a lot of Anthony Barella in some ways. Just the dynamic play from both sides of the disc, the incredible putting range. But then when it comes to closing tournaments out, they kind of flip-flop. It feels like Anthony Barella is more consistently putting himself in position to take down victories.
Yeah.
But when Adam does put himself in position to take down victories, it seems like he's gotten better at closing the door. But again, 2 young players that are still early in their careers, and I think Adam this week, if he can just put down a good round today, out in the woods, play like he knows how to play, like you said, a player from Wisconsin, which is dominated by woods golf, I think it's a good chance for him. But again, there's so many players that we have to talk about. I mean, anyone else that sticks out to you, Nate?
Well, Brian, through one round, we have 30 players within 6 strokes. Okay, that's an insane number. That's just a new standard out here on the tour. That's not quite the record, but it makes sense. And another player I feel like, we have to talk about on this list, Garrett Everson, we don't know much about, right? I mean, Brian, this is just his 14th Disc Golf Pro Tour event ever. Finds himself on this chase card. You're taking a look at this scorecard right here. I mean, bogeys the 18th. He could have been at 12. Could have been tied for the lead. Just another kid from South Dakota who likes to rip the disc.
Oh, he throws hard, and that's what I like about him. And I think the fact is, he can shape the disc well with power. He has a good putting stroke. It's just that new modern player, that young player with pretty much everything in the skill set dialed in, and it's just experience that's going to take him to that next level. So this is the experience. He's gotten it, and now he gets to play on the camera cards, and he gets to show off his stuff in front of the viewers on Disc Golf Network. One last player that I want to talk about real quick is Ricky Wysocki, who Garrett Everson beat. Ricky's kind of the underdog right now. He's a few strokes off. What does he have to do out there at Northwoods?
Well, honestly, anytime you're a new player and you're playing with a guy like Ricky Wysocki, you have to feel a little intimidated. You know, when Ricky's out there playing, this is one of the nicest players that I know. But when he's out there on the course, he's not your buddy. You know, he's not going to, like, chat with you. He's in his own state. He's walking with that cart, like, you know, hundreds of feet in front of the rest of the card every single time. He's in his own element. So I got to wonder if a player like Garrett, if that even affects him. But taking a look at some of Rick's round yesterday, I mean, really just two mistakes, obviously, that stand out. You know, the disc that just fell out of his hand on 5 and came up 50 feet short there in the ball field. Gets up and down from the difficult drop zone, and then he bogeys the 14th, and we're actually going to fly hole 14 here in just a moment. I feel like it's one of the, there's so many signature holes out here.
We have to talk about hole 14 at Northwoods. I mean, jumping ahead from Lake Eureka, this is a crazy hole, and it's coincidentally, Ricky had a tough time at 14 Lake Eureka, but now we jump ahead to one of the hardest holes on the Northwood Black course. This is one of the hardest par 5s that I've ever seen.
Yeah, this first tunnel shot is a lot more crowded than it appears on this drone flyover right now. It has a low ceiling, and if you hit and kick early left or early right, you're going to have to take 2 more shots just to get yourself to this dog leg. And then we take a sharp 90-degree left turn, and then we have pretty much a dead straight tunnel that's 12 feet across, probably 450 feet. We do see some people try and get a little crafty, and they play this hyzer right there. There's the window, high right at the UDIS sign, out over the cornfield. What do you think about that play, Brian?
I just think, number one, to even get to a position to play that hyzer over the cornfield is awkward.
Yeah.
The whole point of this hole is to restrict you from getting too far up the fairway in your first 2 shots, forcing you to have this long 400-foot tunnel to get down to the basket. Some of the coolest shots that I've ever seen on this course come from the shot approaching the green through the narrow corridor. It is absolutely brutal, and the rough on either side is not easy. The spotters have a lot of work to do out in that hole. I just, in general, cannot wait to see the players out there. Because of that, me and Nate are going to get out there on the ground ourselves and take a look, and so should you on the Disc Golf Network. We're wrapping up Tournament Central. Brian Earhart, Nate Perkins. We're going to get some lunch, and we'll see you out there.
Join the Paul Macbeth Foundation's Builders Club to help bring sustainable disc golf experiences to people and communities around the world. For a small monthly donation, you can help us make a real impact. Your donation will go directly to making a difference. By becoming a monthly subscriber, you'll also receive exclusive updates on our work, special offers, and discounts. So join us today and make a difference with the Paul Macbeth Foundation. Together we can make a big impact, one small donation at a time.